What's up, everyone? And this is Next Level Thinking. What's up, everyone? It's another episode of Next Level Thinking, where we always here to inspire you to take it to the next level. It's your host, Chris Holmes, as always, but today I have a special guest by the name of
KG Smooth.
Awesome. So go ahead and lay the foundation and tell the audience a little bit about who is KJ Smooth.
KG Smooth. I am a radio personality. I've been doing radio for 17 years now. It'll be 18 in November. Got my start in 2000. Radio was something I always wanted to do. And how I got into radio is just, was one of the few overnight success stories in the game. At the time, I was going, I'm from Dayton, Ohio.
Okay.
Left Dayton at 18, went to school at the University of Cincinnati. Was an English major, but then changed it to liberal arts and science. And so as I was in school, a friend of mine was like, "Oh, you didn't change your major,
Yeah.
Leave early. Like, what you gonna do?" I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna go to broadcasting school. Radio was something I always wanted to do." And so at the time, I was working at, ironically enough, K&G Menswear.
Okay.
And that's funny, KG working. KG.
Since you said I had to ask that, is that how you kind of like developed your name? Now that you mention that?
No, those are my initials. My name is Christopher Green.
Okay.
And so I'm Christopher with a K.
Gotcha.
So AG is just my initials. That's all. And so when I was working there, one of my coworkers, at the time, he had the new Outkast Thank On Your CD and 8 Jay-Z's In My Life and Time. I believe it was volume 1.
Okay.
And I asked him, I'm like, "Yo, how did you get the real Hove and Outkast? It doesn't come out for like another week and a half." And it was the real deal CD.
Not just like a regular bootleg, it's the real deal.
Yeah,
so you're like, how did you get this?
And so he was like, "Oh, my girl Joy, she works at the Wiz. This is the name of the radio station, the hip-hop radio station in Cincinnati."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Oh, man, radio is something I always wanted to do," and yada, yada, yada. So ironically enough, that Saturday, she came in to bring him some lunch. I was like, "Hey, Ken told me you worked at the radio station. It's something I always wanted to do. Are y'all hiring?" She was like, "Yeah, we're looking for remote techs and board operators." It was foreign to me. I didn't know what she was talking about.
So you just winged it.
I was like, it's Greek to me, but I'm like, okay. And she's like, "Well, here's the program director's name. His name is Hurricane Dave. Tell him I told you to call." She was like, "Now, I've only been there a month, so I don't know, how good my word is yet, but tell him I told you to call," and
cool.
Blah, 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 blah. I was like, okay. So that Monday I called him, left him a message. He called me back, left me a message. I called him back. We talked. He asked me to come in the next day for an interview. That I did. I was hired on the spot. 2 weeks later, I was on the air. After my little 2 weeks of training, learning how to run the board, I was on the air. Like, it happened really fast. But the funny thing about it was that, so the weekend before I was to make my debut, like that Thursday when I go up to the radio station, I see that the schedule is out, and I'm seeing that I'm by myself. And
how did you feel with that going on? Like, did you like, oh, hold up, wait a minute?
I was confused because I was like, wait a minute.
Like, where's my help?
This weekend? And so my boss and friend that's here, the reason why I'm in Houston, Terry Thomas, she used to do middays there in Cincinnati back then, and she came out the studio and she was like, "Hey, you make your big debut. Like, you ready?" I'm like, "Is this true?" And then I seen another jock and they said the same thing. And so I go back to Hurricane's office. I'm like, "Yo, Kane, like, people are saying that I'm cracking the mic this weekend." That's what we call it in radio.
Gotcha.
On the radio, when you turn on the mic, we call
cracking
it
the mic.
Yeah. So, everybody saying I'm cracking the mic this weekend. Is that true? He was like, "Yeah, you ready?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." And then Terry, she overhears the conversation. She peeps her head in the office. She's like, "Yeah, it was so funny. Hurricane kept calling your house, listening to your voicemail greeting, talking about, hey, this kid, he's got great pipes and yada, yada, yada." So I was like, "So wait a minute." I was like, "So the reason why you hired me like that was because of my voicemail greeting?" He was like, yeah, man, you got great pipes. So, back in the early 2000s, we used to talk over the intros of songs for our voicemail greeting.
Yeah, that sounds
And
like the traditional kind of way.
I was talking over Erykah Badu's
Okay.
Didn't You Know? Trying to sound,
with the tone and all of that to set the mood.
Yeah,
So I got you.
513, so whatever my number was at the time. And so I got hired in radio off of my voicemail greeting. The program director hired me off of my voicemail greeting. All the while I'm thinking it's because of my musical knowledge. But to find out it was my voicemail greeting. Which is cool within itself, but I never knew how dope of a story that was until I actually told it here in Houston, and people were making a big deal out of it. I was like, and I guess when I took myself out of it and just listened to the story on the surface, I was like, I guess it is a pretty good story. So that's how I got in radio, but more about me. I'm a Cancer. I just celebrated a birthday.
All right.
I'm such a homebody. I'm really laid back and easygoing. I mean, I am a creative, so I like to create. I sing and write. Dance a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Went dancing with the Houston Stars this year.
Okay, I see.
I am a lover of music. I'm a lover of people. I'm really what I would like to call a hood nerd.
Okay, real quick, define hood nerd. It's because you probably threw a couple people off with this one, so define that in detail.
Somebody who grew up in the hood, but was just very into. I mean, they did the things that everybody else did in the neighborhood, but they also read books.
Educated.
And they were into sci-fi, and they stayed up on what was going on in the news and in the world.
Hey,
and
would it paid off?
very, very woke, as we would say now.
Yeah, awareness.
Just very aware and self-aware of the things that were going on for a person of whatever age. But yeah,
that's nice.
Some of the things that I was into, a lot of the other kids weren't really into. Especially when it came to that. Like my grandmother, she would listen to talk radio a lot, and I would be listening with her.
So do you feel like, I guess your foundation kind of started like that from a childhood, like constantly listening to the radio, and then, of course, what you just saying.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, my brothers and I, we loved the radio. I loved the radio. I mean, a lot of nights, we wouldn't even sleep in our beds. We would make pilots on the floor. Like, I was one of those kids that would find, something broken and try to fix it. So there was this old, stereo receiver and this kind of beat-up speaker. Like, the speaker itself was still intact, but the wires was all messed up. So I took that stereo receiver and that speaker and
turned it 180.
Cut some wires and did some things and, got it back working. And so my brothers and I, we listened to the radio so heavy, we would make a pallet on the floor and sleep next to the speaker with the radio, lightly on.
Now, with that said, I gotta ask this: did y'all have the role plays? You were the host, or just doing your radio in person? I know you did. I mean, because the way this is sounding.
I would act like I was the DJ, but we didn't do that a lot. I remember a few times, but we would play singing a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, we would play singing. So my brother, he's a musician. He plays a lot of things. He plays the drums, the bass, the lead guitar, the keyboards. I'm twigging around with the keys. I sing. My sister sings, right? And my youngest brother, he would just be there. But he would help with the writing, I guess. But we would play singing. My brother up under me on the drums, me on the keys, singing lead. My sister with a tambourine or something.
Sound like you had a whole band, pretty much.
We would always play singing a lot.
Yeah.
Instead of the radio. It's funny how in my adult life I play radio a lot instead as a kid. And what I mean by that is sometimes if I'm trying to get a topic going and the calls aren't coming then, I call a friend up and be like, hey, I need you to play radio with me. Let's get these calls going. Stuff like that.
Gotcha. Now you have KJ Smooth. So where did the smoothest come apart? Like, did you have like a couple female friends? Like, oh, you have a nice. Of course, you told me the story about the whole voice thing with the voicemail. But like, did you get some feedback from the ladies as well? And you kind of you were like, okay, I think I got something on this.
Well, the first time I think I realized that I did have something nice, like a nice sounding speaking voice, was when I was in high school. So in high school, I was in the choir. I took choir in high school, and then I ended up being like the director of the choir because of my musical ear and whatnot. And so my junior year in high school, I was in charge of directing the choir, and
Gotcha.
so I had a couple of songs for us. It was for our Christmas program, and I taught them the two songs I was going to teach them was from Mariah Carey's Merry Christmas album. It was Jesus, Oh What a Wonderful Child, and Hark the Herald Angels Sing. So when class started that week of our, first rehearsal, and my music teacher turned on, the little PA system in choir class in the music room, and I remember getting on the mic and talking, and how everybody kind of just
focused in.
Yeah, they, everybody piped down and they focused in, and I was talking, and then one of the females was like, "Ooh, Chris, you got a sexy voice. You sound good on the mic." So I do distinctively remember that, but it's funny that I never thought I would make a living out of my speaking voice. I always thought it would be my singing voice, to be honest.
So you was like, yeah, that's pretty nice, but I'm gonna make my whole career with the singing.
Or at least in my mind, I thought, just growing up in the church, singing in the choir, doing all that in high school, and performing, I thought I was, because I had turned to music because I couldn't play any sports. I had open heart surgery when I was 5, and so growing up, I couldn't play as hard. I couldn't do any sports. One year where I just snuck and just started going to track practice, and didn't tell anybody, and did my first meet, and did well, and got that little taste of victory. I was happy, and then that Monday, the coach was like, "Oh, we got to do a physical on you," and then we go, and my doctors was like, "Nope, too soon." So I had a resentment towards sports because I couldn't play them, and I wanted to, and so that's when I fully turned to music and the arts.
Yep. But life throws us curveballs, and sometimes it's like, you want to do this, but life says, I know you want to do this, but this is the pathway you need to take. So I think everything turned out.
My brother's an incredible athlete, and so I always wondered
The what ifs?
what kind of, because I had a little taste of baseball. What kind of baseball player would I have been if I would have kept on? What kind of basketball player would I have been if I kept on? What kind of track runner would I be if I would have kept? What kind of football player would I have been? You know what I mean? But, back then, as a kid, you don't get it. But, once I got older, they was looking out for me. They wanted me around. I wasn't even supposed to be here in the first place, so they wanted to keep me.
Yep, and that's what it's all about. So with that said, you have the voice and everything. Did you have any let's say top 3 radio personnel that you kind of look up to as kind of examples or kind of influences that kind of give you this career path?
Not out the gate. I mean, there were people that I grew up listening to that I liked listening to them.
Mm-hmm.
One in particular was Walt Baby Love. He had this show called The Countdown. It would come on the weekends. He would count down the R&B songs, and I really liked his stories.
Mm-hmm.
But the people that I admired, I didn't start admiring other jocks until I actually got in radio.
Okay.
And listening to other people and being like, oh wow, I like their sound, or I like how they deliver, or they're funny, or whatever my reasoning was.
Yeah.
So it would be the people in that local market that I would be in that I would listen to and like. But to throw some names out there, I mean, of course, who I call my radio daddy, the reason why I'm in radio, Hurricane Dave, who is now the operations manager at Hot 107.9 in Atlanta.
Okay.
Terry Thomas, who is the operations manager here for 97.9 The Box and Majic 102. She's one. My big brother in radio, his name is Toss Sway. He had been all over. He was in Chicago, he was in Pittsburgh, he was in Cincinnati, he was in Atlanta.
Just on the go.
He's been all over. I really listened to him hard and took some things from him. Another guy who I was listening to before I got into radio, and then he was working there. Once I started working at the station, his name was Todd Reynolds.
Mm-hmm.
And Todd was really funny and good. Actually, Todd taught me how to manipulate phone calls to not make it sound like recorded.
Nice little skill set.
Those that I wish I could have been, like, or at least that bold, like Wendy Williams. You know, I would listen to her. Like when I would get off the air when I was doing radio in Columbus, Georgia, I would go home and turn on my laptop and log on to WBLS in New York and listen to the Wendy Williams Experience. And this was back when Charlemagne, the God, was Wendy's sidekick.
Oh man.
Yeah. And but Wendy and Charlemagne, I admire Charlemagne. I love the Mad Hatter.
Yeah, everybody knows the Mad Hatter.
The Mad Hatter is an incredible job and just a great man. Yeah, Candy Eastman, she's another one, and Uncle Funky. People that I work with, Marco Spoon.
There we go.
Who I took over the Quiet Storm for him. Donnie Simpson.
Nice. So I want to ask you this question, as you have, like, of course, the big influences like that, to give the audience even more value, is how important it is to always surround yourself with positive influence, either your family, mentors, or like anybody else that can guide you to the correct path. I want you to like answer to the audience, like how important it you feel, and in your own words, like it is to be surrounded with a good crowd.
Oh, it's incredibly important. I mean, it should be paramount because energy is real. I mean, trust the vibes that you get because energy is real, and energy can influence or it can influence your mood. It can mess it up or it can make it greater. So you want to have good positive energy around, because if not, the negative energy it can affect everything. Even if you don't realize it, like subconsciously it can.
Now with that said, I gotta like...
That is very important. I mean, that's how I live my life. I don't want to be around any negative vibes, any negative energy. Like, I'm so right and up front with everything. Like, I live my life like that because I don't want no bad vibes, or I don't want to be feeling uncomfortable internally.
Yeah, that's like a really bad spot to be in if you like feel like something like bad. It's almost like you have that gut feeling like something's not right, which gives me like another question is like how important it is to
and trust that.
Yes, I was just about to go to that. Yeah, because a lot of people are hesitant to like trust their gut feeling, but a lot of times it's a sign like you need to make a move because this isn't right.
Trust that, because that's God talking.
Nice.
That's God talking.
Yeah, it's just like a lot of times when you have that, quiet time to actually listen, or even in a noisy environment, if you have that good feeling, it's a good time to actually listen to that. And then late time, I'm glad I made that move. It's kind of funny how life always moves around like that. So with that, I have something else to ask is like, what kind of challenges do you have to overcome? Of course, you had your huge success, but we know a lot of great stories had some kind of adversity or something building up to get to this point in their lifetime. So, what challenges kind of molded you to the person that you are now?
I think my first taste of what they call really being in radio. They say you're not really in radio until you A, have been fired, or B,
Wow.
move to another market.
Wow.
That's when you're really, really in radio. Or at least that's what they say. Whoever they is. I guess, the people in the industry. So my first take of a taste of getting fired was, when I had my first full-time on-air gig in Cleveland, Ohio. That was 04. And I was so confused as to why they didn't renew my contract, because everything with me was with a bullet, as we say in the industry. Like when a song is up on spin, they say, hey, that song is number 4 with a bullet, meaning that it's an increase. So I didn't understand that. I was hired to do afternoons in Cleveland. Those numbers were in the tank. I brought those numbers back up. They were just impressed with how I brought the numbers up in like 1 and 2 books, 2 ratings books. Then they switched. Corporate decided to switch me and my program director. She was doing middays. I was doing afternoons. They switched us. So now I was doing middays and she was doing afternoons. Her numbers were, oof.
Oh, man.
She was terrible. She was so low. Like, she wasn't even in the top 10.
Ouch.
Right. She wasn't even in the top 10. They put me there. First book, I would come up like 4 spots. The next book, I come up like another 3 spots. I ended up making that spot number 1. And there was a time when our production director just up and quit. Me being a team player after my show, I would go back in production, do some things, cut some commercial spots, dub in some agency spots or whatever. And I also took care of the quarterly reports, the PSAs that needed to be turned in to corporate and the FCC. So when the time had came for my contract renewal, a month came through, like 1 day a week leading up to it. I kept asking her, when are we going to do the contract renewal? We're going to get to it. We're going to get to it. After that long Thanksgiving weekend, that Monday I'm done with my show. She's like, don't go anywhere. I got something. I'm thinking to myself, finally, the contract renewal. Well, to my surprise, when she handed me that piece of paper and I read that first sentence, I saw that they opted not to renew my contract. And I was just so confused as to why. I'm like, because everything was me with a bullet. I brought the numbers up. Everything I just named to you.
Sounds like the industry can kind of be confusing a lot of times. Like, you're doing everything right and doing everything on your end, all of a sudden still things go like left field. I mean, that's...
Yeah, it got hit. So they let me go. I mean, they offered me a severance. It was a cool severance. And I lived off of that for a while. But me doing that and just being so young at the time and devastated, I called my big brother Charles Sway, and I was like, man, you will not believe what just happened. Like, they just fired me. Like, they let me go for being too good.
Wow, that's crazy.
And and I'm looking, and here I am, this is fresh, wounds are still fresh, and I'm calling my big brother in the game about it. And what this man said to me?
What'd he say?
He was like, welcome to radio.
Wow.
Like, there was no comforting, there was no awe, there was no, you're just like, welcome to radio. I'm like, what?
What? I know you probably looked at the fun.
He was like, so, what are you going to do? Are you a boxer in the ring? You just got knocked down. The referee is counting. Are you going to stay down for the count, or you going to get up and keep fighting? And
Man.
I was like, you're right. And so...
Well, you just gave me a huge enlightenment of
him and went home and had used the rest of the day to be in my feelings. That next day, I was up looking, for a new gig, putting together an air check to find a new job. I didn't care where. I didn't care what format. I just wanted to do it. So being down and not really having anything coming in, I had the severance. I had my savings I had a cushion, but
It's
I knew
like,
if something didn't come quick, the air in that cushion was going to,
you know,
inflate
it sounds like your
quickly.
survival skills kicked in really like times 10. It's like, okay, we gotta do to make something happen.
Right. Yeah. And that was that was a time that where I was like, oh, what the what? But I found something in 6 weeks. 6 weeks later, I'm moving to Columbus, Georgia. That was an interesting market. I mean, I remember driving into there and not feeling it. Like I was like, oh, what is this? What is this energy? What is this feeling?
Nice.
Because it didn't feel right. And I remember being there like 3 days, and like in my third day, I was like, we don't like this. Like, we about to leave and go to LA. So
Time to
I'm
make that
literally
move.
battling with myself, like, do we leave and go to LA, make something happen, or we stay here? Because the other part of me was like, get over yourself. You just signed the contract. You got to be, you got to take care of your responsibilities. And the other part of me is like, forget this. Like, this ain't right. We ain't feeling this. Let's go to LA. They already mistaken you when you visited out there as being a star already. Let's make something shake. But I ended up staying, and that was it was okay. But I knew I was only going to give them 2 years, and so I was about to be out. '08, I was ready to go,
Take
packing
that
it
jump.
up, leaving, and then the economy collapsed,
Oh man.
and so everybody in my line of work was losing their jobs left and right. I mean, I'm reading about the devastation of, the cuts that companies are making. And so fear set in, and where I was, which was a black-owned little mom-and-pops broadcasting company in Columbus, Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
Davis Broadcasting, that man, Greg Davis, did not let one person go. And so for that, I'll forever be loyal to them. But it was fear that, knowing what was going on elsewhere, I was like, oh, no, I don't want to be caught out there again. So let me stay here, stack some on paper, and then hopefully, we'll get out. But I ended up becoming complacent and kind of conforming to their way of doing things. And that can happen when you're, at a place. I mean, because Columbus, Georgia wasn't nothing but a modern-day Mayberry. I've been said that when I drove into that town. And the way that they went about business in this small country southern town, somehow osmosis is real. That's all I can say.
You I guess like from saying that you kind of like felt like you were getting a little bit too comfortable, and you were like, okay, I gotta do something because if I really
I
want
did
to
get
make.
a little too comfortable, and I guess I became a big fish in a small pond.
Mm,
So kind of sort of liking that, but the things that I wanted to do, there was no growth for me. Like I wanted to be a programmer and learn more about it because I actually was doing that when I in my transition from Cincinnati to Cleveland, but that opportunity wasn't allowed in that, up there as it was in Cincinnati. And so I thought I was going to pursue that down there, but I realized that the people that were working there in Columbus, Georgia, they had always been there. They're always going to be there. They're not going anywhere. And so I kind of hit the glass ceiling in Columbus, and that's when I just, I had resigned and did a faith walk, and I moved to Atlanta. And a station there, wanted me after I sent them my stuff.
and I got to drill on
But
that.
things,
I got to drill on that real quick because the whole story and transition from like going from there and being like, I guess you like your analogy you use as being like the big fish in a small pond to noticing that you were hitting this like glass ceiling. You had to make that move until you finally moved to Atlanta. I feel like this can also apply to a lot of people in their own daily lifestyles. I think as they go on with life's journey, is a lot of times people have a good amount of success and like they want to reach another point in their life, but they slowly realize like in order to get to that next step or next level, they're going to have to
yeah,
move, and
yeah,
that takes.
you're gonna have to jump out the window
Mm,
because that's what I did. I didn't have anything lined up when I decided that I was going to move to Atlanta. I mean, a lot of the foolishness, like it was of being there. I was mad at myself for being in Columbus, Georgia that long, you know. And so I had just had enough and was like, you know what, Lord, I would just depend on you. And it was a faith walk. I
Leap of faith.
lived off of my income tax return for about, I let that stretch like 4 months. I stretched that out.
You had some strong budgeting skills.
Yeah, I was budgeting. I was disciplined because I knew, you know. But yeah, I had to jump out the window with Atlanta, and it was tough. I mean, KISS 104 in Atlanta, they did want me. I mean, I did go through the whole entire process, even did an air shift, but then they just kind of left me in animated suspension. But then that's when I got the call from Houston.
Okay.
Like, hey, I know your talent, your work ethic, come on down here. And that's how I ended up here. It all started by a simple tweet. That's how I ended up in Houston.
A simple tweet? Hold on. A simple tweet? What exactly did you tweet? Now that you said that.
Going to get my teeth cleaned.
Are you serious?
Yes. I just tweeted out a basic tweet. Going to get my teeth cleaned. As I'm getting dressed, my phone is ringing. I'm like, 713. I'm like, who's calling me from Houston, Texas? And it's 7:45 here. So I'm like, dang, it's 7:45 here. That means it's 6:45 there.
Like, who's
I'm
this?
like, hello? And she's like, hey, Kay, it's T. You not at radio? I was like, Terry? She's like, yeah, you not at radio? I'm like, no. You know, basically just told the story that I just told you about Columbus, Georgia, in the glass ceiling, took the faith walk, moved to Atlanta, all of that. And she was like, hey, she was like, look, well, I don't have anything full-time on air here. I can hire you part-time. I can also create another position for you. You know, I know that you're really savvy on all this new social media stuff, you know, the Twitters and the Instagrams and all of that. So I can create a digital place for you and yada, yada, boom, boom. I was like, okay. She was like, well, you know, go ahead. When you get back home, just send me an air check. Boom, I'm going about my day. As I'm on my way back home from going to the dentist, she had called me, and she was like, hey, you know, I know this isn't my place to say this, but if KISS does call you and offer you that job, don't take it. She said, come down here to Houston with me. I know your talent, I know your work ethic, and I need people that I can trust from next week and beyond. So do that. Look at your calendar, see when you can come for a market visit. I was like, what? I said, okay. I get back to the house, looking at the calendar, you know, and I picked a date in October. I think it was like that third weekend in October. And she was like, oh, you picked the perfect weekend. She's like, because that's our Magic Under the Stars. We got Charlie Wilson and Jill Scott and blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, wow. And so I come to Houston, and it felt right immediately. You know, everybody was just so welcoming. It was just so warm. I mean, everything was huge. I noticed, like, off top, the different restaurants here.
Whataburger.
And it was good. I auditioned. I was on the air that Thursday night and that Friday night. And I remember that Saturday waking up and looking out the window of the hotel, and because they had me sitting in the Galleria area and just...
That was pretty nice. That's dope.
And I was like, yep, this can be home.
Out on one side out the window. And that basically gives like a full summary of like the story from the beginnings, from the roots to how you finally got in the area of Houston, H-Town.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So...
I guess I did just kind of inadvertently do that, huh?
Yep. I just like got it with a couple questions. So with that said, like any words of inspiration for people who want to enter radio? Of course, you told your storyline of like the battles and things and how you overcome and took that fake walk as much more. So, any more inspiration you want to give her to the young guys who want to go into this kind of career field, especially those about to graduate college?
Yeah. First of all, I want to say that you've got to love it, because if you don't love it, you won't like it.
Man.
You know, radio was something I always wanted to do. I love music. I love the fact that I can, be around something I'll be listening to all day. Like everything that I would be doing anyway, just as a human being, I get paid to do.
Hey,
so
that's the way to live.
I would say, make sure that you love it, that this is your passion. Find out what your passion is first. And when you turn your passion into your paper, like, it never feels like work. So please make sure that you love this, because, like I said, if you love it, you won't like it. Another thing is trust your gut. Trust your instinct. Don't worry about what nobody else is saying. If you've got an idea, or you got a bit, or, a segment or something that you think may work, stick with it. Be consistent, because nowadays in this digital age, consistency is key. Stay with it. Don't listen to everything else. If your gut is telling you, if your heart, mind, and gut is all saying it,
just do it.
Do it. Yeah. And people that want to get into radio, Chris, in all honesty, I don't know where radio is going to be. And
especially
now
with
this age, we have so many people got options. I mean, it could be listening to your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It could be listening to The Quiet Storm on Majic 102 with KG Smooth. It could be listening to, the new Drake album on Tidal. It could be you jamming out your own personal playlist that you have, in your phone or on your Apple Music. So people have options as to where they want to consume their music, or, get their entertainment content from. And with that, we've seen the decline of, the sales of physical CDs. We've seen how streaming is really big right now. So in the digital age, everything is so gray. I do think that, radio will always be here, because it is the original medium, but I don't know where it's going. And, with YouTube and, the podcast, people are just creating their own. And, I mean, let's be honest, like, my 15, 16-year-old nieces, I don't think they're listening to the radio, not unless they're in the car with their nana, or mama or something, like, so it's so weird, like, with Pandora and Spotify and all those. I mean, people have options. So if people want to get into radio, like, I would honestly just say go digital.
Very strong, wise words.
Create you a space digitally, be it a podcast or be it, YouTube videos or whatnot.
Which makes a lot of sense with all of the changes in technology and how the trend is going now. And then on top of that, you have what's this new thing, like IGTV too? It's almost basically, I think in my opinion, like YouTube itself. So it's crazy about the platforms. It's all constantly changing.
Yeah, so that's what I would say.
Nice. With all that great content and much more, where can they find you at? Social media platforms? Of course, they know your radio and all that, but I want you to go provide the detailed information so they can know exactly where to find you before we end out this episode.
Absolutely. My Instagram is at KG Smooth. It's K as in Chris with a K. No, G as in Green, which is my last name. KG Smooth, Instagram, Twitter as well, or IKG Smooth. I thought I was getting on Twitter early enough. I think I joined in 2007 and tried to get KG Smooth. Somebody already had it. And to this day, that person with the KG Smooth is not active at all. The last tweet they sent was that they were registering back in '07. They're still an egg. They're like, can I get this and transfer? I was like, I haven't gotten a response. But yeah, IKG Smooth on Twitter. And then Chris Green, Chris with a K, Green OE on Facebook.
Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this nice episode. Of course, we have the radio personality, and I'm your host, Chris Holmes, bringing you special guests and helping you bring it to the next level. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. We're going to also put out through the other platforms that we stated out through the whole interview, like YouTube, Spotify, and much more, just so we can keep the encouraging going. And so make sure you share, subscribe, and keep the word going, and just encourage the people to take it to the next level. It's your host, Chris Holmes, and I have my special guest by the name of
KG Smooth.
And we are out. Peace and much love.